basically becomes part of the extracellular fluid. All right, so the water basically goes into your blood and goes into the rest of your body outside of the cells. So any water that's found outside of a cell is considered extracellular. It's really important to keep this in mind. And we note it by ECF. All right, so when you see ECF, just think of fluid outside the cell. ICF is intracellular. That is the fluid inside the actual cell. Inside your cell brain, that liquid in there, that's ICF. Okay? Really important that you guys keep that in check. The cells that separate the ECF and the ICF, intracellular and extracellular, is basically there's free passage of water between there, right? We all know that. We all understand that water can go into a cell and water can come back out of a cell, right? A little amoeba floating around, water's passing through. Well, what controls that is basically the electrolytes. What controls your external cellular fluid, or your extracellular fluid, is sodium. What controls the internal cellular fluid is potassium. So having the appropriate balance and ratio of sodium and potassium inside your body is really, really important. The reason that's so important is that it's going to control how much fluid is actually passing in and out of your cells. All right? This is all very complex for simple dehydration. All right? But I promise you, it leads someplace. All right? This is where it gets small. And this is probably really where it actually gets important, unfortunately. If it gets small, pay attention, because that means I had to get really, really good stuff on there. All right? All right. I'll read it off to you. The volume of fluid in the body is not measured directly. So our brain does not measure how much fluid I actually have in my body. It doesn't care. Actually doesn't care if you have 15 liters or 12 liters. Doesn't even care, okay? Rather, the brain infers the correct volume by comparing the solute concentration. And what that is basically, it's basically saying, I don't care how much liquid actually is in my extracellular body. I care that there's an actual ratio, an important ratio of sodium to water. What that number is 140 millimoles per liter. All right, or about 140. Most ranges that you'll see is 135 to 145. So the number that you're always going to see, and that we're probably going to be talking about a lot, is 135 to 145 mmol/L. Okay? 140 millimoles per liter. Very important number to remember. Okay? If the brain sees that this ratio is too high, 150 per liter, it's like, all right, something screwed up. We want to be 135 to 145. So I have too much sodium in my system. What's going to happen? I get thirsty. I need to dilute the water in my system, right? So I seek out water. Seems pretty common sense. So if that concentration gets too high, I go and I get water. Well, the second step is the body also starts to conserve water, right? We expel water through sweat, evaporation, urine, right? So all of a sudden, you don't pee as much. Your body's not going to produce as much urine. All right? It's going to reabsorb some of that water back into its system. The other thing is that the sodium could be too low. I don't have enough sodium in my system. It's below that 140 or below that 135. Then what's the body going to do? So it's diluted. I have too much liquid in my body. What am I going to do? I'm not going to drink anything. That's for sure, because I'm just going to dilute it more, right? I'm also going to increase my excretion. All right, as urine by the kidney. So I'm going to start peeing. Body's like, we got to get rid of this water. We're diluted here. We got to start getting rid of some of this stuff. All right? Sodium's high, I drink. Sodium's low, start peeing. Stop drinking. Right? It is that simple, which is great. Do we all agree that our brain is capable of this? We're all pretty, like, yeah. Yeah, like it's pretty like, this is just basic homeostasis, right? Our brain's #1 job is to keep our body in homeostasis, right? To make sure we don't kill ourselves. We can all agree that pretty much we do that. Humans, we're pretty smart. Dogs do it. Rats do it. Name any living animal, they do it. They figure it out. I'm pretty sure us with the disposable, expendable thumbs here that can build stuff, our brains can figure this out. All right, go ahead and move on. So we understand how we process this water and why we get thirsty and why sometimes we're not thirsty and why sometimes we pee and sometimes we don't pee. What's dehydration? What is dehydration? It's simple. Simple definition. It's the reduction in total body water. When my total body water, so I'm walking around today with, let's say, 20 liters of water. When some of that water starts to leave my body, I'm dehydrating my body. I have a reduction in total body weight, total body water, right? It's dehydrating. It's that simple. It really is. All right? So now, when I start losing some of this water, what happens to that concentration level of sodium to water? I'm removing water from my body. Will the concentration of sodium rise or fall or stay the same? Well, my urine's salty, my sweat's salty. Why wouldn't it stay the same? Why would the sodium rise? Right? I'm a salty sweater. I'm covered in white when I'm done running. Travis, you've run with me. I'm like a snowman when I get done. It's crazy. It really is. All right? Well, we don't have that much salt in our system, in our sweat, and in our urine. All right? Remember that 140 number? Sweat ranges from 20 to 50 per liter. So let's say I go out and I run for an hour and I lose a liter of sweat. So I remove 1 liter of water from my system, and I only remove 50 micromoles or millimoles along with it. Remember what the blood concentration was, or our water concentration was? 140 per liter. So I took 50 and I took a liter out. I left 90. 140 minus 50 equals 90. Arithmetic. Gotta love arithmetic. Right? So now that 90 is still sitting in my system, and I'm 1 liter down. So the concentration level actually just increased. So my sodium concentration actually just rose. What happens when my sodium concentration rises? Go ahead, just yell it out if you know it. You get thirsty. Right? So as I become dehydrated, or as I start dehydrating my body, I become thirsty. Right? I worked out the math here for you because I'm nice, and this is probably what you can't see. But we went off the idea if you did 15 liters in your extracellular fluid, you would basically have, in that 15 liters, 2,100 millimoles. If I then sweat out 1 liter with 50 millimoles in it, I now end up with 2,050 for 14 liters. Divide that by 14. I basically now have a new concentration level of 146 per liter, not 140. I've just made a higher concentration of sodium in my system. Okay? So sodium depletion is not an issue at this point in time. What is my body looking for? Is my body concerned with how many liters of water I have in my system? No, my body's looking for to make sure that this 140, 135 to 145 zone is being kept. I'm outside that range. So brain detects it, develops thirst, which leaves the response. Sodium concentration responds. Hypothalamus kicks in. Hypothalamus now tells the conscious brain. The conscious brain really has 2 actions at this point in time. It increases the secretion of a hormone, AVP-ADDH, which is an antidiuretic hormone. What's an antidiuretic? What does an antidiuretic do? How does the body retain water? What do we shut down? Kidneys, really, right? Well, we don't shut our kidneys down, we die. But we shut down urine production through our kidneys, right? Because we want that water to get reabsorbed. So what our conscious brain does is says, all right, water conservation time. Send this hormone out, all right? It also, this cingulate gyrus also becomes active, and that's what actually creates that thirst symptom. So we shut down urine production by this hormone, and we also get the sensation for thirst, all right? The result is that the blood concentration now returns back to our 140, right? Either by not peeing and reabsorbing that water, or by drinking, or both. That's what happens when we sweat, when we're working out, all right? That's what our brain is doing. Go ahead. So that leads us to the symptoms of dehydration as thirst. That's it. That's it. Your certification, your nice accredited certification, that gave you that list of 10 possible symptoms. One of them was correct. 10% right is not bad. Not bad at all. All right? But you know, what's the harm of having some extra? You know, if you're getting nauseous and stuff, you know, you just throw that in there too. You just drink some water, you'd be better. All right? The bottom line is thirst is the only symptom of dehydration. The only symptom. Will performance get hindered if you become dehydrated? It will not, unless you ignore your thirst. If you ignore your thirst, then yes, your performance will get hindered. What does ignoring your thirst mean? You will know when you're thirsty, and you'll know when you're thirsty because you're bored. I've been on a run. I've gone past a water fountain. I'm like, oh, I'm thirsty. Because I really want to stop right now. And I've also been out on a bike ride when I've run out of water, and I still have an hour left to ride, and there's not a store in place because I'm up in Lake Placid someplace, and there's just nothing anywhere, and I'm riding in next to a creek, and I'm looking at this creek of crappy water, and I'm like, I just want to drink that water right now. And you actually contemplate getting off your bike, climbing down the side of a bank, and start drinking road water. I came across a water bottle on the road this year up in Lake Placid. We were up there for a training camp. And I was out of water, stupidly. It was hot. I needed water so I didn't overheat. Just kidding. I was dying of thirst. I was miserable, dying of thirst. I see a water bottle up ahead, white with a green cap on it. Same exact water bottles I carry. I'm like, it's Zen Bike Shops. I know it. Know that water bottle. My wife was riding ahead of me. She dropped the water bottle. I can see a little red fluid in it. I'm like, it's filled with Gatorade. I'm like, awesome. I can drink this. It's my wife's. Who else would have this water bottle up here, right? Like, this is the contemplate I'm having in my head. Then I pick it up, and the thing was like 90 degrees. I was like, I can't drink this. I drank it. That's how thirsty I was. You know when you're thirsty. If I did not drink that, and trust me, my performance at that point was suffering because I was dehydrated. All right, so yes, dehydration can hinder your performance, but only if you ignore your thirst. So is it really a symptom, reduced performance, or was it just stupidity? You ignored the thirst, which was the symptom which caused that issue. It's not a symptom. Okay? Now, sport drink industry goes with this one. That's going to reduce your performance. You can go ahead and switch to that one. All right? They want you to believe that if you're not drinking all the time, that you are going to not perform as well. Dehydration is the worst thing in the world. All those symptoms can happen, right? Well, the sports drink basically started back, we all know Gatorade. Started back in 1965, all right? Their remarkable achievement, this whole sports drink industry, from then till now, is amazing what they accomplished. They have basically convinced us that these biological controls that we have in our system, our brain, hypothalamus, the release of a hormone, the ability of your body to re-uptake the water that's already within it, to self-regulate the sodium. They basically convinced us that they don't exist. That process doesn't exist in us.